Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. Monday Night Raw is done. My goodness, what a go home show to WWE Backlash, at least, the go home Raw. This was a hell of a show, and the reported or, talked about in the IWC demise of WWE and the fall of WWE with a lot of the stuff that had gotten in the news. And I'll talk about this in some other videos across the channel over the course of the next, few hours. But WWE put on a hell of a show tonight. um, and it had what I talk about all the time. It had a show long storyline. Jey Uso giving a world title to title match to Seth Rollins. A great promo from Paul Heyman, who dipped a little bit too much in the bronzer. By the way, Kevin Owens, thank you for the wonderful joke about the faction just dipping themselves in fake spray tan. But the show long storyline of, hey, is Jey Uso potentially, and we almost seemingly dumped the Logan Paul element. Like, oh, Logan Paul was hinted at as an opponent for Jey Uso. That was seemingly at least dropped for the time being. That was heavily panned. Triple H pays attention to the internet, so there you go. That's off the table for Backlash. And so we get a world heavyweight title match in the main event. Um, the whole thing built throughout the show. Jey Uso got played. There's the whole dynamic with the new faction. They haven't really named it, between Heyman, Rollins, and Breaker. Um, Throughout the show, there was great stuff. I mean, Sheamus came back against Austin Theory. He looked great. You had Penta seemingly beating JD McDonough in a very good match. Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch continued to heat up their match. By the way, Lyra Valkyria could cook on the microphone, so credit to her. Roxanne Perez and Io Sky casually just drop in, have a banger. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of good stuff. And hey, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee in 2 weeks has sold the hell out of this match with Gunther. I don't know what it's going to look like, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, but Pat McAfee is putting the work to this. So say what you will about that. But really what we need to talk about, and I can, get deeper into it later on, but the story of this whole show was, the World Heavyweight Championship. And we get an impromptu World Heavyweight Championship match out of thin air, which normally I am not okay with. And what I loved about this is, like, we all seemingly thought that Logan Paul was going to be the guy, and then it seemingly was dropped out of thin air. And I was thinking to myself, man, are they really going to take the title off of Jey Uso literally, 16 days after he won it? He won it Saturday 2 weeks ago, and we're going to take it away from him on Cinco de Mayo? Like, holy crap. And he puts together a heck of a match with Seth Rollins. I know a lot of people will say, yeah, Seth's a great wrestler. Jey Uso did his part too. He looked really good in this match, and Seth Rollins is just Seth Rollins. The guy's untouchable in the ring. Like, he is as good as there is. And even with a bunch of the shenanigans that happened in this match, it was amazing theater because it all fit the story. It all fit the narratives of what had been told in the last couple of weeks. You had the Sami Zayn interference, which we knew was coming. We didn't know how much of it, but he, was involved heavily in the finish. There was the good stomp finish where he didn't get all of it. I love the call of that. And then, the shock return of CM Punk. First time we've seen him since the night after WrestleMania, and 2 nights after he lost and was betrayed. So I didn't have that on my bingo card, that CM Punk was going to be involved in this. Like, a lot happened here on a Monday night in early May. And again, all this reporting about WWE's, reported demise, and, the Fed's gone bad, all the weird Alberto Del Rio dialogue that was going on the internet, which I didn't understand. People just misinterpreting things and flagrantly and just falsely reporting information that they had no idea, and where they had no, sources to back it up. And everybody was just, jumping on top of it. And it's like, what are we doing? Um, I got to hand it to WWE. I mean, at least with Raw, SmackDown still needs a lot of work, but Raw has consistently seemingly been a really solid television show, really since it went to Netflix. And this was one of the better, non-WrestleMania shows, because it felt like a big deal. It felt like we're going into a pay-per-view. And, it did a good thing about, telling a show long story, and also getting you hyped up for Backlash. Like, this is the thing that I always am critical of with other promotions, specifically AEW. They did a really good job specifically in a short amount of time to build. Pat McAfee and Gunther, they did that, and they've done. I think they've done yeoman's work with that because who knows what that's going to look like. And everybody was mad about Logan Paul and Jey Uso being on this card. It's not anymore. Um, it was seemingly pulled. I don't even know if it was officially announced, but they reshuffled the card. They put Penta and Dom on there, which was a big time deal and a big time addition. So like you guys got to chill out, man. You guys really got to chill out because yes, and I will be, I'll be fair because I know a bunch of you geeks are going to come out and be, well, you hate when they don't advertise shit. It's like, yeah, it would have been, nice to like, advertise a, world heavyweight championship match and not announce it at the start of the show. But I will say this in response to that, playing devil's advocate. This was a whole story that was played throughout the show. Jey Uso comes out early. He's looking for Logan Paul. Heyman comes out. Heyman does his explanation as to why he betrayed, and he did a freaking phenomenal job. And I would have cared way more about it if he wasn't so fakely tanned. Like, Paul, for God's sakes, wise man, you're embarrassing the Jewish community with the amount of fake tan that you put on yourself, man. Like, I'm being facetious here, but it's just like, but the promo was incredible. It's Paul Heyman is just the best, man. He is just the best. He could sell anything. He could sell like a freaking brown paper bag, having a potential wrestling match. You guys know what I mean. But the point is, like, look, anybody who wants to tell you that, the Fed has gone bad, all this other narrative shit, and like, yes, obviously Friday was a dark day, but, but you look at what happened on this show, everything meant something. Everything had a meaning. Rusev, we didn't even talk about that. Rusev looked freaking impressive. As dominant as he ever has in beating Otis. And you might be snickering at yourself saying, Mike, he faced Otis. So what? He killed the whole fucking Alpha Academy. Those guys matter. You need to start somewhere. And then, like I said, you're only as good as your main event. And that main event, despite a DQ finish, was a hell of a lot of fun. And it sets up a lot of paths that they could go. Because clearly the goal here is to get the world title to Seth Rollins. That's clearly what the goal is. It's either to get it to him or to CM Punk or some way. But this is a loose-ended way to just dance through Backlash, figure out what you're going to do to get to Money in the Bank. And then you get to some of the bigger shows over the summer. And clearly the big angle that they're going with is this new 3-man band that they got with, with Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins. And that's great. And then now you've got another loose alliance with, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. So it's just like we're starting a narrative here. Everybody said that Triple H can't tell his own stories. This has been fascinating. I love what they're doing with this like mini evolution. They're tutoring Braun Breaker to get him to the next level. There's so many great things going on this show, and everybody's just going to find ways to complain about it because, hey, something didn't happen. Like a bunch of people got fired or some weird report that had no bearing or no like sourcing to it that Alberto Del Rio was somehow under a WWE contract, which made no fucking sense, but everybody ran with it. Everybody's just finding reasons to hate WWE. Why don't you just watch the television show? Just watch the television show. The other shit, like, again, like a lot of the other shit is just bullshit right now. And yeah, I wasn't happy with WrestleMania, but they've done a really good job since WrestleMania of making you care at least about the on-screen product. And the crowd was invested. They were really invested in that main event. Credit to everybody involved. It was a lot of fun. Very fun show from Omaha. We'll see what happens later in the week as we get to SmackDown. And then obviously, we're going to have Backlash on Saturday night. And we'll see if Randy Orton and John Cena, both in their 40s, can turn in one really good match because they haven't really had a very good match in like 18 years. So God bless them. It's going to be really cool to see them, but they haven't really turned in a good match in a long time. So here's hoping. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.